Good evening. I'm Nandini, Executive Director, BSSK. A very pleasant good evening to all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to the online launch of BSSK's first publication, Growing Up in Adoption, Stories from an Indian Perspective by Mrs. Roxana Kalyanwala. I extend a warm welcome to our adoptive parents, Mrs. Meena Hari Singhani, Mrs. Vishaka Ghosh, and our adoptee, Mrs. Mansi Farad, and her husband, who are here with us live. And I extend a warm welcome to all the adoptive families, adoptees, donors, well-wishers, and others who have joined us online. We are delighted to have all of you amongst us as we celebrate this special milestone at BSSK. It really means a lot to us. I would begin today's program with the lighting of a lamp. I would request our esteemed guests to join our trustee, Mrs. Janki Vishwanath, for the lighting of the lamp. Yeah. BSSK, a secular, non-political, non-profit organization, was founded in 1979 to offer care and protection to vulnerable orphan and destitute children. Our main goal is to provide these children permanent, stable, and secure homes. We also provide education and other related support to children and families in need. We have been able to take care of more than 6,156 children and place more than 4,655 children in loving families to date through our centers in Pune, Aurangabad, Sangli, and Chiploon. Over the years, BSSK has become a powerhouse of knowledge in terms of best practices in childcare and family services. We have always wanted to share this information, this learning with a wider audience, so more and more children and families can benefit from it. The idea of coming out with a publication came about in 2019 when BSSK completed 40 years of service, and coincidentally, our executive director, Mrs. Kalyanwala, retired after having served in the field of adoption for nearly 36 years. BSSK could not have found a more suitable person to write on this topic and make our dream come true. I will now request our trustee to officially release BSSK's publication. Yeah, yes. Uh, Now, a little about the author. Mrs. Kalyanwala completed her master's in social work from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences and joined BSSK as a social worker in 1983. She has administered and counseled persons during coming forward for adoption and interacted with several adoptees over the years. In 2000, she took over as the executive director and oversaw the adoption program among other responsibilities at the NGO. She served as a committee member of the Central Adoption Resource Authority, CARA, and has also lent her expertise in preparing training modules on adoption-related aspects. She has written several papers and has been invited at various national and international forums to present papers pertaining to childcare and adoption. She, along with team members, have conducted research studies on domestic and international adoptions. Her writing on adoptions have appeared in various journals. She believes that it is a beautiful thing when one's career and passion come together. With this small introduction, I now request the author, Mrs. Kalyanwala, to take over to us about her incredible journey and how it has taken shape in the form of a book.
Good evening, friends. At the outset, thank you, Nandini, for the kind words of introduction. I am really happy to be here today to share with you how I was inspired to go ahead and have a book published. I'm a little touched because I feel it's been a real long journey with BSSK and also with the production of this publication of this book. I would like to say that the inspiration of this book, like Nandini said, I joined BSSK in 1983, so it's been 36 years. In 2019, when BSSK completed 40 years, I retired at the same time. And the inspiration was all the working that I had in BSSK, meeting with several adoptive parents, meeting with several adoptees over these years, and also interacting with colleagues, interacting with people from BSSK where I worked, interacting with government officials, with CARA officials over the period of time that I worked. My experiences really started in 1983, in the 80s, where adoptions was very, I would say there were very few adoptions happening in those years. There were more children in institutions and less families coming forward. But as time progressed, we started hearing the voices of adoptive parents. Many of the voices had successes, had celebrations, had beautiful stories to tell us. But at the same time, we also heard challenges, we also heard pain, we also heard sorrow. Like in any life, there was a mixture of both. Towards the end of the 90s and the beginning of the early millennium, we started hearing voices of adoptees as well, because adoption was coming of age. Numbers of adoptions were slowly growing domestically in the country. It was all these experiences that left a very strong impact on my mind. There are many experiences, many that I shared directly, many that my colleagues shared with me as well. A couple of them stayed in my mind. I share with you two examples of a young girl, a young adoptee, years ago coming and telling me that she had overheard her family members mentioning that she was adopted. She had never heard this. She did not know about it. She went to her parents and her parents told her, focus on your studies. Don't think about these aspects right now. Similarly, another young adoptee had once come and told me, is it wrong, auntie, if I ask my parents about my birth parents or if I speak to them about them? He was confused. He didn't know whether he could do it or he could not do it. Even at that stage, I felt that these families were not wrong. These families were confused. They did not know how to handle such situations. They were sensitive situations. They felt that by not speaking about adoption and by not letting the child think about the birth parents, it would be good for them. They should think of their present and their future. Even at that point, this stayed in my mind. Until today, similar experiences continue to be in my mind. As an individual and as a parent as well, I believe that parenting is a beautiful journey. It's enriching, it's rewarding, whether it's by birth or whether it's by adoption, it is a beautiful journey. However, adoptive parenting does have certain aspects that one needs to consider. For example, sharing the fact of adoption with a child, or the loss that may be there in adoption, the gains and losses that are there in adoption, or the fact that they may have questions about the birth parents. These are things that are there in many children's minds. And that is how BSSK and myself, when I retired, we felt, why not have some more powerful resources for our families? We had workshops for families, post-adoption, pre-adoption. We had counseling sessions for families as well. However, we felt that it would be good if we have some strong resource. And that's how the book came to mind. And what better way than to ask and request our dear adoptive parents and adoptees to share their experiences. We often speak as professionals. We talk at different forums and different platforms, but when parents will hear it from adoptees and adoptive parents, it is our hope that it will be a stronger resource and a more sensitive aspect for parents to be able to consider. By sharing their experiences, we believe that it will be a help to parents as they move ahead on this journey. Also, as you all know, there is intercountry adoptions. There are children who are going overseas as well. However, we felt that there's a lot of literature and a lot of information on the Western perspective. And that is why we felt that let us focus at this juncture, let us focus on the domestic front. And hence we approach families from the domestic front to share their experiences. So the book has a combination of some professional inputs that have come from my working experience and my colleagues' working experience within the organization for so many years, for 40 years. I also believe that there is a lot of change that is happening in the field of adoption. Everything is online. And today with the COVID situation, it is even more online. So there's also a limitation sometimes that social workers have to share all the information, with adoptive families. While they do their best to do it, we are hoping that this book will be a strong resource for parents as they go along the journey. All of it may not be applicable to you at this stage, but I hope that the book will help you as your child grows and as you grow with your child in the adoption journey. I would love to hear, and I think both BSSK and I would both love to hear your feedback on the book once you all have gone through it and you all have read it. Maybe this will help BSSK with future publications of what may be important and what may be relevant or what may be needed by the whole group of adoptive parents and adoptees as well. I also believe that the book can help professionals who are working in the field of adoption. Adoption is a very sensitive field. NGOs have new staff coming in at different points of time. So I believe that the book may help them as they help parents and handhold them on their journey of adoption. So I do hope that the book is going to be a help to many. That has been the intention of putting it all together. My thanks to BSSK for the strong support, the board members, the director, for the support that I received in putting the book together. I will end by wishing all of you who are present and who are listening to this, my best wishes for everything. I particularly wish prospective parents for their journey in adoption. And I also wish current adoptive families who are on their journey in adoption. Adoption is a beautiful journey, and I hope you will enjoy every moment of your time with your child. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxana. Thank you. I'm sure the book takes you through a wonderful journey, and it brings out different aspects of adoption and parenting, and with your professional inputs of so many years. Thank you so much. We have with us Mrs. Manisha Biraris, Assistant Commissioner, Women and Child Development, Program Manager, SARA Adoption Resource Authority, State Adoption Resource Authority. She has always been a strong pillar of support to specialized adoption agencies like us. She has been very kind to make some time and join us online in spite of her hectic schedule. I request her to say a few words.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm very happy to join this event. And am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. एक्चुअली सॉरी मैं बहुत लेट ज्वाइन हुई और अभी भी मतलब अभी जस्ट निकले हैं, उसी दौरान अभी ये मीटिंग ज्वाइन किया है, क्योंकि जो एडॉप्शन ये जो सब्जेक्ट है मेरे भी हार्ट के नजदीक है। और एडॉप्शन मतलब मैं भी पिछले 5 साल में ये जर्नी में हूँ, और ये जर्नी में शुरुआत से मुझे एडॉप्शन अगर सीखने मिला है तो हमारी कुछ एजेंसीज से ही मुझे एडॉप्शन अच्छी तरीके से मालूम पड़ा, और उसमें से एक मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट एजेंसी ये पीएसएस के है। आप लोगों से ही मैं ये अडॉप्शन जान पाई हूँ, प्रोसेस जान पाई हूँ, और आज हम लोग मतलब बहुत प्राउड फील होता है कि आज मतलब इसके पहले भी महाराष्ट्र ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, और अभी भी महाराष्ट्र का काम बहुत अच्छा है। और इसमें मतलब राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे, नेशनल लेवल पे हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छे वर्ड्स हमें मिलते हैं। ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही ज्यादा खुशी की बात है। इसीलिए मतलब और इसका योगदान जो है मतलब मेरे को जब भी पूछा जाता है कि महाराष्ट्र हमेशा नंबर 1 क्यों रहा है एडॉप्शन में, तो मैंने हमेशा यही चीज बोला है। एक तो महाराष्ट्र को हिस्ट्री है एडॉप्शन की, मतलब इन आई थिंक 1863 पहला जो एडॉप्शन एजेंसी नहीं बोल सकते उसको, उन्होंने नाम दिया था बाल हत्या प्रतिबंधक गृह। हमारे जो रिस्पेक्टेड महात्मा ज्योतिबा फुले, इन्होंने पहली संस्था पंढरपुर में खोली थी, जहाँ पे वो जो अनवेड मदर्स होती थी या विडोज थी, उनके जो बच्चे रहते थे, उनको बच्चों को उनको वहां पे रखा जाता था। और पहला अडॉप्शन जो है मतलब इन जनरल हमारे राजा महाराजाओं में या रिलेटिव अडॉप्शन जो है वो उसके पहले बहुत सारे हुए होंगे, मगर ये जो एक जेजे एक्ट के अंदर आज के तारीख में हम लोग जेजे एक्ट बोल सकते हैं, उस वक्त तो जेजे एक्ट नहीं था, मगर एक अनाथ बच्चे को अडॉप्शन करने की जो प्रोसीजर है वो प्रोसीजर उस वक्त चालू हुई थी। और महात्मा ज्योतिबा फुले की जो पत्नी थी रिस्पेक्टेड श्रीमती सावित्री बाई फुले, उन्होंने एक बच्चा यशवंत नाम का उस वक्त गोद लिया था। तो हमें बहुत ज्यादा हिस्ट्री है, ये एक रीजन है। और दूसरा रीजन मैं बोलती हूँ कि हमारे यहाँ की संस्थाएं बहुत अच्छे से काम कर रही है। मतलब अडॉप्शन ये एक सब्जेक्ट ऐसा है कि आपको दिल से ही काम करना पड़ेगा। आप अगर आपके मतलब सोच समझ के और बहुत डायनामिकली काम करना चाहोगे तो वो नहीं होगा। आपको पूरा आपका तन मन उसमें डालना पड़ेगा, तभी वो काम जो है बाय हार्ट अगर करोगे तो ही वो काम अच्छा होगा, और हमारी एजेंसीज ये करती है। इसीलिए हमेशा महाराष्ट्र नंबर 1 है। हमने जो भी सजेशंस दिए वो सजेशंस कारा एक्सेप्ट करती है। ये हो पाता है क्योंकि अपनी मैडम ने अभी जो बुक लिखा है और उनके जैसे कार्यकर्ता हमारे पास है, उनके जैसे सोशल वर्कर हमारे पास है, इसीलिए हम लोग कर पाते। इसके पहले एक्चुअली मुझे लगता है माधवी करंदीकर मैडम ने एक बुक लिखा था, और वो बुक भी मैंने पढ़ा है। वो पुरानी प्रोसीजर्स थी, और मैं कल परसों ही अरोरा सर को बोली कि हमको ये बुक नए से लिखना चाहिए। लास्ट वीक उनको बोली कि अभी के प्रोसीजर में और अभी के कुछ इंसिडेंट्स भी उस पे होने चाहिए, ये मैं उनको बोल रही थी। और मुझे मतलब सरप्राइजिंगली मुझे राजश्री से मैसेज मिला कि ऐसा बुक लिखा गया है, और मैडम का वो बुक जो है उसका हम लोग आज ओपनिंग कर रहे हैं। तो मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई, क्योंकि अभी की जो मतलब स्टोरीज है जो अडॉप्टिव पेरेंट्स की होगी, अडॉप्टिव चिल्ड्रंस की होगी, वो अदर जो अडॉप्टिव पेरेंट्स है उनके लिए एक मोटिवेटेड चीज बनेगी। और उसके लिए हमें ये जो स्टोरीज है या तो ये जो गाइडेंस है वो गाइडेंस की जरूरत है। और मैडम ने बुक लिखा, मैंने अभी तक पढ़ा तो नहीं है, मगर पढ़ने के बाद जरूर उसके जो मेरे रिमार्क्स होंगे वो जरूर दूंगी। और मैं आज पीएसएस के और टीम को और मैडम को बहुत कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट करती हूँ ये बुक के लिए। एंड हम लोग हमारी ये जो अडॉप्शन की जर्नी जो मैडम ने बोला कि ये बहुत ब्यूटीफुल है, सच में मैडम बहुत ब्यूटीफुल है। वही प्रेरणा देती है कि इसका जो काम है वो काम हम 24/7 करें तो भी कम पड़ता है। एंड आप जैसे सब जो मोटिवेटेड ये है सोशल वर्कर है, उनके लिए हमारा काम सच में अच्छा हो रहा है। आप रिटायरमेंट के बाद भी ये काम को आगे लेके जा रहे हो, मतलब आपने ये काम अभी भी छोड़ा नहीं है, ये इस बात की मुझे बहुत ज्यादा खुशी हो रही है। एंड मैं उसके लिए आप मतलब थैंकफुल भी हूँ कि आप हम जैसे नए लोगों को सबको गाइड कर रहे हैं ऐसे बुक लिख के, क्योंकि बहुत मैं जब से ये सिस्टम में काम कर रही हूँ, मुझे बहुत सारी स्टोरीज या बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो लिखने का मन करता है, मगर एज एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल फॉर मी। मगर आप जैसे लोग जो ये चीजें आगे लेके आ रहे हो, उसके लिए मतलब हम पूरी चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन की जो टीम है ओवरऑल महाराष्ट्र की, वो आपके लिए शुक्रगुजार रहेंगे। एंड ये जो चीजें हैं ये आप मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी कि आप आगे भी चालू रखिए। आपके जो एक्सपीरियंस इतने साल का है, जो आपने बहुत अच्छे से काम किया है, वो उसका जो गाइडेंस है, उसकी जो अनुभव है, वो हम लोगों को मिलते रहे, यही मैं एक्सपेक्ट करती रहूंगी। और आपको और भी बुक्स लिखने की प्रेरणा मिले इससे मैं चाहती हूँ। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच मैम एंड कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशन।
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your kind words. And we are BSSK will continue to work to keep Maharashtra as #1 in the adoption field all over India. Thank you, ma'am. I now request Mrs. Meena Hari Singhani, adoptive mother, to come and say a few words, introduce herself, and give us a little about her journey.
Namaste to everyone. My name is Meena Hari Singhani, and I'm here because of two reasons. One is because my daughter Juhi is from BSSK, and Ruxana was her social worker at that time. So I know Ruxana for all of my daughter's life, actually, which is 30 years. Yeah. And we've had a contact, though we finished our official work quite some time back, but we've had maintained a contact over the years. So, I mean, 30 years ago, I had got a picture with me, but unfortunately, we cannot put it up. Ruxana is 30 years younger, but looking the same. My daughter was also 30 years younger, but looking very different now. So when Ruxana sent me this mail saying that she was interested in collecting adoption stories from adoptive parents and adoptees, and she had prepared some survey forms and she asked me to participate. She must have asked other people also to participate at that time. I was more than happy to do it. While putting my thoughts together, it was a journey for me to reflect on this whole, because, you know, along the way, somewhere you forget that you are an adoptive parent. I think hopefully my daughter has also forgotten that she's in somewhere, you know, the term is not generally, it doesn't come at the top of our heads easily. So I agreed to do that survey, and I'm thinking that other parents who did that survey, other adoptees, Mansi is here today, so she will also talk about her experiences. They must have had a time to reflect and a time to revisit that journey as we had. And of course, the second thing that happened was because Ruxana said that she would like to put it into a book form, which I was extremely delighted about. And I offered, at that time, it was a deal for a one-time read. I know that when you bring out a book, as Janki will also let us know, that when you bring out a book, you need many midwives for it. Yes. And I was one of the midwives, I'm happy to say, to help in the birthing process of Ruxana's book. I did 3 reads finally.
That's right.
So I got to see the book closely in that way. Now, I would like to share with all of you what felt very meaningful and useful to me, despite the fact that we have been on this path for 30 years. one of the things was that these stories from other adoptive parents and the children who were adopted, now in their 30s, mid-30s maybe, was a real pool of sharing. Some things were what I had gone through, and some things were different. And it was nice to know that there were so many different things. Now, the stories were really candid. I think the survey form helped because it gave a structure to how we were putting our stories forward. And apart from that, because confidentiality was promised, people were more open and the stories were really candid. We got to learn a few things which would normally not have been said. Like Ruxana said, the good, bad, and the ugly all came out. Yeah, so we had experiences of it, warts and all. I like that part, the sharing of these stories. I really enjoyed all the stories. All our names were covered up.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing which one is you and which one is you, and you can keep guessing which one is me. Okay. The next thing that I liked very much is this long shot of adoption, the adoption journey that Ruxana has portrayed in the book. Especially this picture of the social workers going by bus, traveling 10, 12 kilometers to, pick up these children who were not wanted by anyone at that time. And as Ruxana said, that this was in the pre-diaper days.
Yeah,
So I can imagine the condition by the time they had these babies on their laps, and when they arrived, I think nobody wanted to touch them.
And the smell.
And the smell and everything. Yeah. So that was really amazing. Starting from right there to now, to where you are saying that adoption has gone online and the whole journey is very different. So like the lady just spoke right now, she's saying sab dil se hota hai kaam. So I think when these women went to collect the babies, dil se hi hua tha. Otherwise it would not have happened.
Yeah.
And now I hope that somewhere along the line, even though it's online, the dil is not lost.
Yeah.
He's still able to preserve it.
Hopefully, yes.
Yes.
It should be there.
It should.
Yes. it
Yeah,
should be
because
there.
sometimes when
Yeah.
there's a overabundance of
True,
rules
true.
in wanting to protect the child, I
Yeah.
mean, with good intentions,
True. True.
my experience has been something gets taken away.
Mm.
Something gets taken away. I don't know how many social workers know their children. I mean, like I know Ruxana for all of Julie's life. How many long-term relationships have been formed, I don't know, but it'll be nice to maintain. I hope your book can contribute to
Hope so.
that. Yes,
Yes.
yes. The other thing that I liked very much was this topic that you had. There's this eternal question of sharing adoption stories. It's always been there, whether it should be shared, not shared. And I remember at the time when we got Juhi home, the view was very strong that these stories must be shared. Now I find that you are saying, well, decide for yourself.
Right.
So there are many variants. I think the agreement is that stories can be unique. All stories
Yes,
are unique. All
right.
stories are unique, and the variation is immense. Of course, this thing about and added to that is this question. I think first time it's been addressed in print form is the question of search for the
right.
biological parents. So this was, I remember Anuradha telling us at the beginning that if we're thinking about it, and if the parents come, if they ask, then we'll consider. But it was very hazy. Nobody was willing to make. Now she's put it in print, so she's caught.
Yes, it's caught.
Yeah, so the search for biological parents, though this was also a question in our mind, and Juhi also faced a struggle for a while. We came to Anuradha and she had a talk with her and all that. And another wonderful thing for me was to get to know Dr. Aloma Lobo. And I would request all of you who are listening to this program to go to YouTube and check out her journey with adoption. It touched my heart greatly. You have mentioned who this book is suitable for. You've mentioned a lot of people. I also say that it's suitable for everyone. Yeah, go ahead and read it, because this is a question that plagues our society. I should not say plague, it's there. It's there for our society. We've addressed it to a great extent. And I was thinking of Yudhishthir's Yaksha Prashnas. So it is one of the Yaksha Prashna of our society. And we should keep trying to grapple with it. And because, see, with Ruxana's book, we have got a lot of new understanding on the topic. And similarly, the understanding will grow now that Nandini is in chair. I'm sure she'll have another book to contribute to. So in the end, I would like to leave you with a thought. I was just thinking that if a parallel book were to be written of biological parents, a parallel survey of biological parents and biological children, we have Janki and Nandini here, will be the first to receive the survey form. Will the journey be any different?
Yeah.
Will the data be any different?
True.
I'm wondering. Okay, and I have a feeling that perhaps it won't be too different. I'm going to quote from, show you the book. I have my own autographed copy now, but this is the one I purchased, because I'm telling my friends, don't ask to read my copy, buy your own copy. Yes. So I'm reading this few lines from Ruxana's book, this one, Growing Up in Adoption. And here it says, on reading the stories, we find parenting is dynamic. True for biological parents? True for biological parents?
Yes.
True for us? Yes.
Absolutely.
It is both predictable and unpredictable. True for you?
Yeah.
True for me.
Yeah.
It is thinking on your feet.
Also.
Yes,
absolutely.
True on all counts.
I've just taken a sample because Nandini very like a conjuice, give me 2 minutes. So, but I think a lot of these sentences will be applicable to biological parents and biological children. So the anguish, we should not fret about too much, I think.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, there is anguish for all parents.
True.
There's anguish for all children, and it's part of growing up. It's part of living together. So I'd just like to end with this thought that bringing up a child, whether it's in your life, bringing a child in your life, whether it's a biological child or an adopted child, to my mind is an act of courage. Now I feel, at that time I said yes. Now I also feel marriage is also an act of courage. So at that time I said yes very quickly. Now I feel I was courageous. So in retrospect, it is an act of courage. And I'm taking this sentence from Ruxana's book. It is a walk into the unknown.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Good luck to your book.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really nice.
And
More time maybe next for the
Yeah.
next publication. Now I request Mansi to share her views now.
So hi, my name is Mansi and I'm a paramedic and a public health professional. I am currently working with Unacademy's medical entrance strategy team. So the reason why I am here is to express my views about the book which we all have gathered here for. And for me, growing up as an adoptee, this book holds a very special place in my heart. And the author, Mrs. Kalyanwala, she was also a part of BSSK, and that makes it even more special. So when Mrs. Kalyanwala approached me and my parents, we instantaneously agreed to contribute to the book. Reason being, we felt that our voices should be heard. Our voices should be out there for parents who are facing similar situations, or for prospective parents who will be facing such similar situations, and just to know that they are not alone. And like, this experience dates around 27 years back. So adoption wasn't spoken as openly as it is now. So that was another reason why we decided to contribute to the book. Moving on, I would like to quote a few incidences here. One question which I was always asked growing up was, do your parents treat you any differently because you are an adopted child? The plain simple answer is no. My parents treated me exactly the way other children's parents, like other children were treated by their parents. We all we also had our fair share of agreements, disagreements, and embarrassing moments. I pursued my masters from UK. So my mother, she has embarrassed me a lot by crying at the dinner table in front of friends and neighbors, family members, when my departure date used to come close. But yet again, mothers, what could we do without them? Yeah. And in a Harry Potter movie, the godfather of Harry Potter, Sirius Black, he had quoted once that the ones who love us never really leave us. I was posted in KM Hospital in the children's ward a few years ago when I was working there. And a patient who was admitted there was from BSSK. The caretakers were with him all the time. And when they learned that I was also from BSSK, the very first question they asked me was, are your parents treating you well? Apart from that, they were taking care of the patient, and they were also taking care of this mini adult by asking me all the time if I ate well, if I took enough breaks, if I'm not really tired enough, forgetting that I am working here for them. So that was another very remarkable incident. And BSSK is always been our first home, and up till now they have done a really good job of because we come from really painful backgrounds. They have done a wonderful job of placing us into really good families, without which we would not be what we are here for today. And the process, yes, they made it absolutely worthwhile and seamless, and I am really grateful to everyone at BSSK for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mansi. Thank you for the share. Thank you. I will request Mrs. Ghosh to say a few words. Musical chairs. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Vishakha Ghosh, an adoptive mother. I have a biological child as well. So what Meera said, it is really a walk into the unknown. It is, whether it's a biological child or an adoptive child, but as she said, it comes from the heart. I wanted to talk about Roxana's wonderful book. It's a beautiful compilation, really. She's compiled several adoption stories from adoptive parents, from children, from adopted children. And we know they are all true stories. So each and every incident really touches our hearts. And interestingly, each and every parent has had different kinds of feelings, different kinds of apprehensions, pain, expectations, fulfillments during the adoption process, after the adoption process, which she has really portrayed in great detail. I loved all the details that she has written, and the interviews which she has also translated, also many of them. So it's really nice to read them. Roxana has brought home these stories to us in the most realistic way possible. Read it and you will realize that you can identify yourself with any of them, whether you're an adoptive parent or a biological parent. The adopted children have related the experiences also in their own way, and they have poured out their hearts, their fears, their doubts also very openly to her. So it shows that she has brought this confidence into them to speak for themselves and to all of us through this book. This book is especially interesting, and I would even say useful to young parents who are considering adoption. And I'm hoping that they may start thinking of adoption after going through the wonderful narratives in the book. It must have been a great effort for her to gather this vast information from everybody. And because we Indians, we have comprehensive families, and we are not so open to talk about all the problems in the family and how each and everyone reacted to it, and also our innermost feelings. We rarely talk about the fear that one has, and we only talk to one person or two. But to bring it out in a book shows that, yes, everybody is feeling the same thing. I would really like to congratulate Roxana and thank her, and of course BSSK, whom I have known for the last 36 years, bringing all these wonderful adoption stories to us. This book makes such easy and good reading. All of you must read it. You don't feel like putting it down. And when one incident gets over, you want to read the next one. Yeah. You realize how life can be made so easy if we really want to. Her points of advice are also very helpful, and she makes the whole process sound so fulfilling, so rewarding. I realized after reading the book how much she enjoyed her work by bringing happiness to so many of us. So many parents and children. Thank you, Roxana. And I wish you good luck, all the best for your book.
Thank you. Thank you, Vishakha. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ghosh, for coming here and sharing your thoughts. I now request Ms. Dilnaz Kagbari to share with us her thoughts. She is a prospective adoptive parent, and she will be joining us online today. Over to Dilnaz.
Can you hear me?
Dilnaz, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Very good evening to all of you. And I'm very grateful to Roxana and to everybody at BSSK for inviting me to meet all of you all and address my journey. So I'm a single mother to be, and my journey is fairly new. So it's quite overwhelming in terms of everything that I am hearing or I read. Also, unlike all of you all over there, I come from, I will be adopting in the new system of Kara, which is actually, honestly, as somebody on the other side, in a nutshell, a very impersonal experience. Because, and that is why I value very deeply the bond that I already share with BSSK and, you know, and my relationship with you all, because of a workshop that I have attended with you all, which has really been the only human element in my journey so far. And I have known Roxana as you know, she's a family member to me. I've known her over years. I've seen her bring little babies to my home in Delhi when we lived, and she's gone all over the world with those babies, and they were all up for adoption. So I've seen it for very long, but I don't think I understood the magnitude of her commitment and her you know, her role and her love for what she does till this point in my life, because I've seen her since I was very young, you know, doing what she did, and many babies have stayed in our homes as well while she was passing through. So to me, at this point in my journey, which is 9 months old, BSSK has been incredibly supportive, and Roxana's book has been one of the most honest conversations that I have read about adoption. I have honestly not finished the entire book yet, but I do, I keep it by my bedside, and every night before going to sleep, I open it on any page and I read one page, and every page makes me cry sometimes, and really overwhelms me as a single mother to be, because nothing in the process just now kind of mirrors any of these situations that I may be in, and nothing mirrors, nothing also is so relatable, So it's really for me very precious, and I'm going to I have already shared it with as many people as I know, but I will actively do so after reading it, in its entirety, because it is such a, it's so, so reassuring to know that this happens with other people as well, that you're not alone in this, because the current CARA procedures really is just about looking at a screen, and it is very difficult to understand anything, honestly, And when I hear things like even the lady who spoke with us earlier, the government official who spoke with us, and she said adoption can only be from the heart, and nothing in the process lets us experience that. So I'm very grateful to BSSK for the 2-day workshop that I attended. I'm very grateful to Roxana for writing this book and becoming, and people have so honestly shared in it, and it's so human and so real, and it really, the book silently holds your hand and your heart through every feeling that you're feeling. And I'm very grateful, and I hope that this association doesn't end, and maybe my baby will come from your from your institute, I hope, from one of your branches. So thank you so much, Roxana, and I hope you keep writing. And thank you, BSSK, for being the only human interaction that I have had in this process. So I'm very grateful to you. And I hope in my own way, I can take your workshops and your book forward, Roxana. No, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dilnaz, for that share and talk mentioning about the workshop. I think that is where BSSK has been trying to get that personal touch with families before adoption, after adoption, and for up till root search. So we have been trying to introduce this element of personal touch in this world where everybody interacts only with the online procedures, and you go to a place where you've never been before and you meet them for a couple of days and come back with a baby. So that is where BSSK has been working over the last couple of years to include more and more families, adoptees, and we've also, I think it would be right to mention about our post-adoption support we are giving through workshops is one, pre-parent preparation workshops. We do have a lot of parenting workshops. We did a 4-part series, 0 to 6 workshops, where quite a few families joined us, where the topics were on communication, brain development, health of the children, nutrition of the children. And we had summer and winter workshops for children, adoptees. So they get to know BSSK without, meaning they just get to know about BSSK without really talking about adoption. It was more fun activities which were presented by our older adoptees. So that is where we've been, meaning doing a small bit to include personal touch and more interaction and helping families, no matter where the child is from. Adoption is adoption, and that is what we are looking at. Thank you so much, Dilnaz, for bringing that up. And I would now request our trustee, Dr. Oak, who is joining us online, and she will share a few of her experiences. Thank you.
Just 2 minutes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And it's been an absolutely delightful evening there, and afternoon for me here. I'm sitting in Dublin now and hating it and wishing I was there, right there with everybody in physical presence. It's absolutely wonderful, Roxana, that you got this over the line, and it's here for everybody to read. And the kind of responses that I've just been hearing right from Manisha Birari's a conversation about Dil Se. That's what it is, Roxana. It is Dil Se, and you made it happen, and it's absolutely wonderful. Um, I I love the fact that Mrs. Harsinghani, kind of walked us through her own experience of 30 years, and has read the book thoroughly. And what in fact everybody really mentioned, that it reflects the true journeys, as it were, of adoptive parents and children. So it doesn't hide. And very rightly, Mrs. Ghosh pointed out, we don't talk about problems. Okay, we are not used to talking about our problems. We more often talk about the good things, and hardly ever talk about our innermost feelings. And I think this book, and the credit goes to you, Roxana, for the wonderful relationships that you've kept over the years and developed and now documented, for others to read, experience, and also to take forward, the changes that have happened over the so many years. Well done, Roxana. I mean, like, my hat's off to you, and a huge applause for you, really. I love the way Mansi, spoke about her own experience, and also, this hint of saying, okay, so you're adopted, poor you, let me look after you a little more than other people, and making an assumption that adopted children are not really looked after by, by their parents. And I think there's something for us to learn here, from the stories that you write, Roxana, and also from the stories that adoptees write and talk about. The most wonderful thing to hear from Mansi was, the fact that she doesn't disregard her past. She's integrated the past with her present, and she's also looking at the future. So she says, BSSK is my first home, and why not? I think hats off again to all the work that BSSK has done over the years. My association with BSSK and my colleagues on the board, past and present, has been really wonderful, because everybody is a dedicated person in this. They don't come to BSSK if they're not dedicated. Nobody comes to this organization if they're not really committed and not working, they'll say, whether it's right from the top, or it's the person who's looking after the baby in the intensive care unit that's there at BSSK. So wonderful, great. And Dilnaz, whatever it is, I'm glad you've had a contact with BSSK. BSSK will be there to tell you more stories about different situations. Very rightly, Roxana has kind of said that not all journeys are the same. Every parent and child relationship is unique, whether adopted or not adopted. It's just the journeys are so unique and dynamic, as she very rightly has pointed out. With that, I'd like to say that the journey is not over. Roxana, we're holding on to you. Okay, we're not letting you go anywhere. You have more to share in the field, and I hope you'll continue. We're on to doing some work with birth families, where you very rightly said that adoptees have thoughts and feelings, and they want to know about their birth families. Sometimes they're just curious about it. Sometimes they want to know, who did I look like? And at other times, it could be a deeper search for a relationship. Yes, it's coming of age. There are rights and responsibilities which come into play, and मुलं शोधू शकतात किंवा शोधायची इच्छा होऊ शकते. So what are we doing about it? This is a professional as well as a personal journey. And so thank you very much for this evening, for organizing this launch. I'm sure the book will reach out to many hearts, and we hope to contribute and continue to contribute in this field. On behalf of my colleagues on the board, we thank you for having published this book and being here with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Oak. Thank you so much. We are almost at the end of the program, so I would request my colleague Rajeshri a senior executive at BSSK, to propose the vote of thanks.
I can do it.
Thank you, Nandini. Good evening, all. I, Rajeshri Devkar, consider it a great privilege to be proposing the vote of thanks today on behalf of the entire team of Bharatiya Samaj Seva Kendra. We are greatly indebted to Rukhsana Tai for giving us this beautiful gift growing up in adoption. It is a true reflection of her passion and love for the work. Dr. Alma Lobo has rightfully captured the essence of the book in one sentence. This book has a mission not just to educate, but it will be a support through your pilgrims as a parents. My heartfelt gratitude to our adoptive families, adoptees who opened their hearts and shared their personal stories. The book would not have been possible without them. I would like to thank Mrs. Harisinghani, Mrs. Ghosh, and Mansi for joining us in person and sharing their thoughts about the book. I am special thanks to Manisha Biraris, who joined us online and give her thought. I'm also thankful to Dilnaz and Dr. O for joining us online and adding their views about the book. A big thank you to our audience, lovely parents, adoptees, government officials, donors, well-wishers for joining us today and making this launch a big success. Thank you. Thank you, Dil se Rukhsana Tai. Thanks.
Thank you. Dil se is the next book.
Yeah.
Just one plug here. Please buy the book. It's available on Amazon. Please buy so the proceeds also come to BSSK.
Yeah, and it is also available in BSSK office. So you can buy it from there.
I just have one thing to add. You can get it signed by Roxana today.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Happy to do that, Meera. Very happy to do that.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.